Previously on Higurashi When They Cry console arcs. Neon?
あ、こんばんは、ケイちゃん。
No. It was her twin sister, Shion. Shion came to Hinamizawa to hang out with us a couple times since the time I met her at Angel Mort. But I still have trouble telling the two of them apart from a distance. I have no trouble. Just look at which one has their hair loose.
なんだ、シオンも来てたのか。
来てたらいけませんか？私だってこの村の人間なんですからね。
Shion laughs mischievously after saying that. In hindsight, it was an odd thing to ask.
そりゃそうか。年に一度の村祭りだもんな。
ええ。
Shion's voice dropped slightly as she answered, and she turned toward the river. I felt a hint of discomfort. Did I say something weird?
もし一年に一度決まった日に何かが起こるとしたら、ケイちゃんどう思いますか？
どういう意味だ？
例えば事故とか事件とか。
なんか穏やかじゃないな。ひょっとしてこの祭りに来ると何かがあるってことか？
いえ、みんながみんなというわけじゃないんです。
Huh? That's really a roundabout way of speaking. If this was supposed to be a joke, that would have been the time to shoot it down. And not everyone. So did that mean it happens to someone in particular? So, in other words, the guardian god of Hinamizawa was retaliating against the dam construction project that could have submerged Hinamizawa. At least, that's what the people of Hinamizawa seem to believe. All the victims on the night of Watanagashi were people connected to the dam project, and to Orishiro-sama. However, the beating death seemed different from the other incidents, because it was clearly a murder. Thinking about it that way, I started to worry that maybe the housewife beaten to death had a similar connection. The dam construction conflict was a fight for the survival of Hinamizawa, and a horrific murder happened during the course of that conflict. That much I already knew, and I was just expecting to hear that again. But in fact, it was far more than just that. A murder, an accident, a deadly illness, a suicide, a beating to death, killing. I grew up in the modern era. I dare not believe in something like a curse. Still, these mysterious deaths keep happening every year on the day of Watanagashi. On top of that, the victims are always directly related to the dam project. When you look at each incident individually, it's easy to see them as completely coincidental. But when they all keep adding up, it seems a lot harder to calmly brush them off as coincidences. I don't believe in curses. However, it certainly seems like something or someone is deciding that something should happen on every Watanagashi.
ちょっと待て。それじゃあ今年の綿流しの晩にも誰か人が死ぬってことか？今度は誰なんだ？
I'll give you a hint. His name begins with a T.
わかるわけないじゃないですか、そんなこと。
Well, of course. If she knew anything about it, she'd be trying to prevent it.
でもね、ケイちゃん、綿流しの後には死者ばかりじゃないんです。もう気づいているかもしれないですけど、一緒に誰かがいなくなるんです。
In the murder of the construction manager 4 years ago, it was the leader of the group. In the accident while on vacation, the wife was swept away by the river. The shrine priest's wife leapt into the water after his death. One person dies, and another disappears.
シオンのやつ、なんだって？
Exposition dumping. Nothing more than that. She asked that so suddenly, my voice got caught in the back of my throat.
あの子、ケイちゃんに何か言ったの？
いや、別に。
なんで隠すの？隠したってすぐにわかるんだからね。おじさんを煙に巻こうったってそうはいかないよ。
I sensed a bright light glimmering in the back of Mion's piercing gaze. I couldn't find the words to respond. I hesitated for a while, deciding if I ought to repeat what Shion told me. It was a story that Mion and the others were trying to keep hidden. I turned my gaze downward as I wrestled to find the right words.
あら、富武さんじゃございませんこと。
Oh hey, you're not dead yet! Then, Mion waved her hand.
あ、ミオン。
Mion suddenly stopped when I called out to her. I wanted to ask about the incident and why she wouldn't tell me about it. But then I remembered that the victims in the incidents were the people opposed to the dam project. In other words, they were enemies of the Sonozaki family. So in the end, I couldn't bring myself to ask about it.
また明日な。
That was all I could say.
また明日。
I had a vaguely confused look on my face as I saw Mion off. As I did that, Reina looked back at me with a blank expression, and so it continues. Greetings, my name is Neosekken, and welcome back to my Let's Play of the Higurashi When They Cry console arcs. So, first episode into our first what-if story of these what-if console arcs, and already we're doing a pretty poor job of not sticking our nose into the suspicious going-ons of the little rural village of Hinamizawa. It really makes me wonder just how far along Keiichi is going to just stick his nose in before he just decides to nope his way out of it, and then carry on his business as usual until, well, I guess all the village gets gassed to death. Because I'm assuming that's what's pretty much going to happen at the end of this whole what-if story, is that in spite of all the evidence that he's likely going to come across within the next couple episodes, even after this one, he's going to just decide, you know what? Despite everything I've seen, I'm just going to try really hard that none of this exists, and just go about my business as usual and hope nothing bad happens. He'll do just that, and well, he along with everybody else will get led to their collective deaths in the name of political espionage, as was wont to happen with the main arcs. A very predictable outcome, all things considered, but maybe this console arc will surprise me a little bit and throw a surprise or two along the way. But somehow, first episode in, I'm not feeling all that optimistic that it's going to deviate from this little prediction of mine all that much, if at all. Anywho, enough rambling from me. Let's get back to it, shall we? Good morning, Reina. Reina waved to Mion as she came running over. I joined in and called out to her.
Ohayo, Rena! Kei-chan!
And good morning to you, Club President.
二人とも、昨日はお疲れ様。
みーちゃんこそ、お片付けご苦労様。
I wanted to say something to thank Mion for her hard work too. Well, then say it. Even though it was a small village festival, it still involved the entire village. It was pretty big on its own scale.
結構大変だっただろう。後片付けって。
そうだね。3時くらいまでかかったかな。
Oh yeah, it lasted that long in the main arcs too, didn't it? You poor thing, you must be exhausted.
それから
Again.
家に帰ってお風呂に入って寝たの4時半。
Jesus Christ, you must be a zombie. I took a moment to process Mion's response. Then my eyes shrank the moment I recognized the words 4:30. Those aren't words, those are numbers.
4時半？ほとんど寝てないってことだろ？
If I was in that condition, there's no way I'd be going to school. Honestly, I truly felt that way. But wait till you get to the workforce. Then you're gonna have to drag your sorry ass to clock in whether you want to or not.
ケイチくん、俺なら自主休校だって顔してるよ。はう。
She's probing into our brain again. Reina was reading my mind. I still say you need to get a mask for that dumb face of yours, so it makes it a lot harder for them to read what you're actually thinking.
ケイちゃんはわかりやすいからね。
According to Mion, the adults were still active until dawn. It was clear how passionate the villagers were about their festival. Well, as far as they're concerned, their lives literally depend on it. We were all chatting together as I put my hand on the classroom door. But, just then, the crisis management system inside my brain immediately kicked in. I looked up and sure enough, I saw a blackboard eraser. I see Satoko's already going to work. How sweet. I grabbed it triumphantly and stepped into the classroom. Incoming secondary trap. But the next moment, I found myself looking up at the ceiling. I slipped down and felt the mild pain of landing on my butt. And to make matters worse, the blackboard eraser covered in white powder landed square on my face. When I tossed it aside and raised my upper body, I could see an abacus sliding away by my feet.
あら、ケイチさん。
I feel like I should know what an abacus is, but I don't.
教室に入るなり爆中の披露とは、さすがエンターテイナーでございますわね。
I got up and headed toward the culprit. As fast as I could. Run, Trapmaster! Whoosh! Whack. My index finger traveled with tremendous momentum as it struck its target.
ケイチさんがデコピンした。
I warned
今
you.
日はなかなか凶悪な罠でしたが、まだまだなのです。
Well, you heard the queen, buddy. You better watch out. And you better not cry when you don't watch out. Reina looked on the verge of fainting, and Mion looked stunned while watching the debacle. She doesn't look stunned so much as she just looks sorely disappointed. And frankly, I don't blame her. You really are a disappointing guy on all counts, Keiichi. Everything was just like usual. All my classmates were here, and the atmosphere hadn't changed at all. Even though things were a little cloudy in the back of my mind last night, everything was starting to clear up. I felt relieved as I looked around the classroom. Without even thinking, a smile spilled across my face. The kind of smile a random bystander might think looked creepy. Well, stop looking creepy! Reina noticed my creepy smile and turned to me, looking concerned.
どうしたの、ケイチくん。ひょっとして頭ぶつけたのかな。
俺の受け身はバッチリだぜ。なんならもう一回やってもいいぞ。
Are you sure you and your butt are in agreement on that notion? Because I don't think you and your butt are.
別にいいよ、そんなの。
That would be what?
はーい、先生が来られたよ。みんな席について。
I hope the sensei has been properly fed, otherwise we might be in for a rough lesson this morning. Everyone listened to Mion's command and took a seat.
皆さん、おはようございます。
Good morning, Teach.
昨日はお祭りでしたね。
Indeed, it was. It was glorious.
最後まで後片付けに参加した人たちは本当にお疲れ様でした。
Oh, and by the way, is some would-be famous person, not would-be, he is famous, who am I kidding? Is there some photographer who died last night, just out of interest? Big muscly dude, likes to wear a hat.
さて、ここ数日はお祭りの取材で遠くからテレビや雑誌の取材の方が見えたりします。
I thought it was the usual stuff, so I was going to tune it out. But then I noticed a different tone in her voice and started paying attention.
皆さんが取材を受けることがあるかもしれませんが、曖昧なことやいい加減なことは言わないように。いいですね。
In unison, everyone replied, Yes, ma'am. Her words were jovial, but I understood what she was trying to say. After all, this was the 5th year. Reporters from talk shows and third-rate magazines are probably looking for a story, asking what the curse of the 5th year might be. As far as the villagers are concerned, I guess it's a major pain that only promotes a bad impression of the village. So they're not going to give them what they want. This time, I'll be on the side of the villagers. And in that case, I'll have to do my part. Adjusting myself to fit into the village atmosphere is an important step in deepening my ties at the village. I'm sure there won't be any club activities today, since everyone is still exhausted from last night. What should I do then? I haven't been to the Okinomiya arcade in a long time. Just as I was thinking that, Mion patted me on the shoulder.
何ぼんやりしてるの、ケイちゃん。
Pondering whether or not to play the prize grabber machine. How about you?
そろそろ部活始めるよ。
Oh? We're actually doing it? I completely set aside all the thoughts that were running through my head. I should have expected as much from Mion. She's not tired at all after yesterday. No, it wasn't just Mion. Riki-chan should have stuck around to help with cleanup too. And Satoko went with her, so they were probably all still at the shrine until late last night. Nevertheless, they all seemed to be acting in high spirits. But I'm sure the fatigue was still hiding there, beneath the surface. I can't let this opportunity go to waste. I'll use this to take everyone down.
ケイチ、何をニヤニヤしているのですか？
I'm smiling over the great opportunity I have to be an opportunistic little dick.
きっと皆さん寝不足なので、今日は勝つチャンスだと思っているのでございますわ。
You read his mind. Gah. She's absolutely right.
あ、ケイチ、顔の色が変わりましたのです。あら、ケイチさん、図星だったみたいですわね。あお、ケイチくん、図星だったのかな
ケイちゃん、うちの部はそんなにやわでも甘くもないよ。
Everyone's eyes lit up at once. How could I forget? These are our battle-hardened club members.
じゃあ今日のゲームを発表するよ。今日のゲームは、
It is... Mion pulled out a stack of cards and slammed them down.
本格派推理ゲーム。
I sounded an ooh. A game from overseas, huh? This looks interesting. A game of deduction, an overseas game. So, what is it, that murder mystery game?
説明書も英語ですけど、ルールはそんなに難しくないのです。
I wish I could remember its freaking name.
私はこのゲーム苦手ではございませんことよ。
I totally believe you.
負けないからね。
Reina's complexion didn't look so great. I guess she's not very good at this game either.
ルールはね、事件の犯人と凶器、あと犯行現場の3つを当てられた人が勝ち。
Okay, it is that game. It seems there are 3 types of cards: suspects, weapons, and locations. I noticed Mion, Rika, and everyone's names written on the suspect cards. Oh, there's even a card with my name on it. There are plenty of different weapon cards, too. An axe, a knife, and even poison. And the location cards were pretty nice, too. Is Dubai in there somewhere? A study, a courtyard, an attic, even the back of a gym. Well, I guess I could imagine all these places are in Dubai, so...
つまりね、これらのカードが1枚ずつ抜かれるの。それが正解のカード。
それで残ったカードはシャッフルしてみんなで等分するのです。お互いに手持ちのカードを質問し合って抜かれた正解のカードが何かを当てるのですよ。
I see. So the cards that nobody has are the true perpetrators.
それで答えが分かったら挙手。ゲームを終了して答えが正しいかを確認。
正解でしたら勝ちで1ポイント、外れでしたらマイナス1ポイント。正解してもしなくてもゲーム終了だからカードを集めて仕切り直しなのでございます。よろしいかしら、ケイチさん。やってみればわかるのです。このゲームはとても頭を使いますのですよ。
I don't know. Even at the best of times, Keiichi's brain power can and often is sorely lacking.
メモを取りながらじゃないと混乱するよ。ついてこられるかな。
Reina quickly pulled out a paper to take notes on. She looks rather intense.
で、今回の罰ゲームはなんだ、ミオン。
Everyone turned toward Mion.
そうだね。昨日の疲れも多少あるだろうからさ。今日はソフトに使いっ走りの刑はどう？
You know, I just thought of something. Even if Keiichi does decide to keep his nose out of the strange goings-on in his village, is it still possible that somebody may experience some things that will cause their Hinamizawa syndrome in their systems to go berserk? And thus cause they themselves to go berserk? If so, I wonder who it'll be in this one. I may have something possibly interesting to look forward to that could be an unknown factor after all.
みんなからお使いを頼まれて、それを買いに走るってわけ。
つまりジュースとかお菓子とかを買いに行かされるんだね。
Well, besides the club activities, of course.
でも今日の罰ゲームはなんだか優しすぎる気がいたしますわ。
I wonder, is it really?
ケイイチはそうは思っていないようなのです。
Because you don't know what you'll have to go buy. This is Mion we're talking about. I'm sure she'd make the loser buy stuff like hemorrhoid cream or athlete's foot medicine or something completely absurd. Oh yeah, I forgot hemorrhoid cream was a thing. I carefully looked over at Mion's face. I could sense a glow in her eyes. Indeed, I need to do everything in my power to stay out of last place.
それじゃあ始めるよ。
The cards were lightly shuffled and passed out to each player. The true culprit, the murder weapon, and the crime scene have been taken out. So that means all the cards I have in my hand are innocent cards. You're so innocent. I'm so proud of you. Keiichi's a good boy.
さて、一番手は昨べ一番頑張ったリカちゃんから。
ありがとうなのです。それでは、さとこ、おの、中庭。
You pick one suspect, weapon, and murder scene and ask the other players. If you have any of those cards, then you must say, I have one. However, you don't need to say which one you have.
あ、俺持ってるぞ。
レナもあるよ。
私もだ。
あ ら、完全な投資ですわね。
Three people answered when she asked if they had Satoko, Axe, and Courtyard. So that means that Satoko, Axe, and Courtyard are all in the clear. Gotta jot that down. Well, of course. So Satoko wouldn't even harm a fly. Unless that fly's name is Tepe.
それでは私は、ケイイチ、ナイフ、屋根裏部屋でございますわ。
Only two people said they had one. So it means, out of Keiichi, Knife, and Attic, one of those is part of the correct answer. The killer, the weapon, or the crime scene. No, wait. Even if they say they have one, they don't have to say how many. It's possible that either Reina or Mion has two of the cards. This is totally a mind game.
じゃあ、今度は私の番だよ。
Wait just a second. I'm still sorting things out.
遅いですわ、ケイイチさん。置いてきぼりにしてしまいましたよ。
黙っててくれ。
And speed up, boy. The game has me thinking more than I expected. Oh man, this feels like it's going to be tough. I know, you probably really aren't used to thinking this much, are you?
準備いいかな？レナ、ツルハシ、河川敷。
This time, only one person responded. That means... Wait, stay calm. Think it over.
よっしゃー、犯人確定。
Here I am spinning around in circles, and Mion just now raises her hand.
犯人はリカちゃん。凶器は鉄アレイで、犯行現場は体育館の裏。
Would she even be strong enough to lift a dumbbell?
どう？
Well, I guess it depends on the size, so never mind. Mion drew the cards from the box, and we checked to see if her deduction was right.
正解なのです。
Rika, no! How could you?
あともう少しだったですのに。鉄アレイか毒物かピストルか決め手がなかったのでございます。鉄アレイは重いのです。僕は毒物でじわりじわりがいいのです。
Spoken like a true sadist. She has no qualms saying something like that? Such a cute look on her face. She's definitely a demon. No, just a really old, bitter spirit. For good reason, though.
ケイイチ、怯えた目で僕を見ないでほしいのです。
Huh? Was it all over my face?
ケイイチさんはすぐに香り出るから分かりやすいのでございますわ。
I keep telling you, boy, you need a mask. At any rate, this is far more difficult than I expected. Deep down in my heart, I was feeling impatience. And when I looked over at Reina, I noticed how pale her complexion looked. Apparently, Reina and I were equally unskilled in this game. Struggling together. Our eyes met. It seems like she had the same thought.
おやおや、二人とも。なんかヤバヤバって顔だね。二人仲良くビリになってみる？
Well, if that ends up turning out true, at least I won't have to suffer alone. That's no good. I imagined a scene. A sad man going out to buy hemorrhoid cream accompanied by a girl. I shudder just thinking about it.
ケイイチはこのゲームが苦手そうなのです。
I just thought of something really dirty. No. No.
そんなことはない。次で名探偵前原の実力を見せてやる。
I won't believe it until I see it, boy.
あら、おっしゃいましたわね。それでは徹底的に遠慮なく叩きのめして差し上げますわ。
さあとこ、また食らいたいか？
I lined up my finger in the direction of her forehead. Made a flicking gesture 2 or 3 times.
ふわー、ケイイ 一さんが脅迫してくるのでございます。
And unfortunately, it's working. Come on, Trap Master, you're better than this.
よしよしなのです。ケイチ、自信がないからと腕力に訴えるのはずるいのですよ。
Ah, so you believe that hand gestures equates to a punch to the face, huh? Interesting. Once Rika-chan said that, I had to reflect on it. Don't reflect on it. The queen is spouting utter nonsense. I had no choice but to forgo my assault on Satoko's forehead. After a few more rounds, I was finally starting to grasp the trick to this game. But no matter how hard I tried, I was still a step behind. Mio and the others were carefully studying one another's faces. There's no way I can compete with a master who can gather information just from the questions themselves. If I want to turn my overwhelming disadvantage around, I need to be ruthless. I should abandon logic and focus on the thought process need to win. Abandon logic in a game where logic is basically required in order to play. Okay. Go on. Show me what you got, boy. The important thing isn't to find out the criminal. It's winning, and you win by finding out the criminal. This is my chance. My only chance.
あ、ごめん。ちょっとお手洗い。
I was taking a gamble, which I think you're gonna end up, which I think is going to end up backfiring on you. I needed a change of pace. The fresh air was helping me clear my head. I inhaled and exhaled 2 or 3 more deep breaths. At the same time, I did some stretching exercises. I held my arms out in front of me and swung them back and forth while bending my knees. 1, 2, 3. Though I was easing the tension in my muscles, I was still on edge. Then I looked around the school grounds and saw some of our classmates still playing around. I never played like this after school when I lived in Tokyo. Why does my life back then feel so abnormal in hindsight? I stared off at the natural scenery in the distance. Then I suddenly realized I can't keep going on like this forever. Today's game was still going. So, I started to wonder if my plan was going to work. Victory was riding on the power of effective teamwork. Just then, I noticed Reina exit the classroom looking confused.
ケイチ君、ひょっとしてレナのこと呼んだ？
Oh, I see. Gonna form a team up, are we? As I got up from my seat, I winked over at Reina. It worked. Just as I was hoping for. I guess we have good chemistry after all. Moving on. Since we didn't have much time, I straight up asked Reina how many points she had scored today. Reina looked puzzled for a moment, then timidly opened her mouth.
ポイントマイナス6だよ。
Well, that's just sad.
どうしてそんなこと聞くの？
Based on Reina's expression, I imagined it was pretty low. But I had no idea it was that bad.
このままだと俺たち2人のどちらかがビリだ。
じゃあレナが罰ゲームなのかな？
おいおい、そう簡単に諦めるなよ。勝ちに行こうぜ、勝ちに。
どうやって？
I brought my lips close to Reina's ear. Whisper, whisper, whisper.
そんなのいいのかな？
思い出せ、レナ。快速第2条。勝つためにはあらゆる努力を惜しまない。
I don't know. I don't think society is that blatantly Darwinistic.
頑張るよ
Reina assumed a fighting pose with all her might. Our strategy would never succeed without precise teamwork. At the beginning of the game, everyone would be focused on their own hand for a while, taking notes and whatnot. During that brief moment, Reina and I would quickly show our cards to one another. We'd reveal them under our desks, and all the while, we'd be scribbling with our pencils. And okay, so here's my question to you two geniuses. What are you two going to do if the rest of the members end up anticipating your plan? Got a backup op plan in the works, I hope? Even if the others looked up, their eyes would be drawn toward our moving hands. It's simply human nature. That was the whole point. If all goes well, nobody will notice a thing. We'll be operating with twice as much information as the other players, so our questions won't have any information gaps.
そうだねこれなら今日は勝てそうだよ
勝てそうじゃない。勝つんだ。
Then we can make Mion buy that hemorrhoid cream and athlete's foot medicine.
圭一くん顔がちょっと怖い
We can win this, Reina. You can't put off a scary face or two. Be put off.
それもそうだね
We both smirked at each other. Ray and I would probably dig our way out of last place before Mion managed to catch on. In fact, there was a good chance we could take first and second place. Not bad at all. Just you watch, Mion. After Reina went back to the classroom, I took a few deep breaths before heading back myself. I did my best to avoid making eye contact with Mion. Your eyes can say as much about your mouth as your mouth. Isn't that what they say? Mion is pretty smart. She usually has good intuition. So, I carefully looked her over. I was fairly confident that Mion had no knowledge of my conspiracy, and I'm fairly confident that she does.
よしゲーム再開だよ
Mion held her arms up high. But just then, Chi Sensei came over. Oh?
園崎さんちょっといいですか
Well, this is an unexpected turn of events. A new challenger has arrived.
ごめんみんなちょっとタイムね
Oh wait, I wonder, is Ushi stopping by right now? After saying that, Mion walked over to the teacher.
園崎さんにお客さんがいらしてますよ昇降口へ行ってくださいお客さん私にですかそうです早く行ってらっしゃいわかりましたってことでさ
Excuse me.
おじさんちょっと行ってくるから
After saying that, Mion rushed out of the classroom.
みーちゃんにお客さんって誰かなかな
Well, I'm willing to bet you that he is a very job-wise, he is a very respected individual in Japanese society.
ミオンさんはとてもお顔が広いですから時々誰かが訪ねてらっしゃいましたよ
Although it makes me wonder, if it is Uishi, what's drawing him to Mion herself this time around? Usually with the main chapters, there is always some sort of reason why he would come to either Keiichi or Reina or even Shion, so on and so forth. So I can't help but wonder, what's special about Mion this time around that caught his attention?
そうです
Oh wait.
みーは顔が広いのですよ
そっか仕方ないよな
I gave a bitter look towards the way Mion left. And here I was ready to make her speechless. Sucks. At any rate, who on earth could be visiting Mion? We've been waiting for a while now, but there was still no indication that Mion was coming back.
ミオンさん、なかなか帰っていらっしゃらないですわね。僕たちは手持ち豚さんなのです。ブーブー。手持ち豚さん？はあ。
Fan of little piggies, are we, Reina?
はあ。小豚のリカちゃん、かわいいよ。
Oink oink.
お持ち帰り。
まだゲーム中だぞ。
はあ。だってこんなにかわいいよ。はあ。
どんなに可愛くてもゲームが終わるまではダメ。
でもちょっとくらいならダメかな。
Well, Rika, I think it'd be in your best interest to prolong the game for as long as humanly possible if being taken home by Reina is something you definitely would like to avoid.
終わってからにしなさい。
We got a problem on our hands. It looks like everyone's starting to get impatient and bored.
しょうがない。ゲーム再開しようぜ。
Once I broached the subject, everyone's eyes brightened and they nodded to me. That's right. Think about it. We're moving while the demon is away. In other words, this visitor's arrival has given us a chance. So, if Mion's seat's still vacant, we shuffled the cards and dealt them out at once. Sure enough, Rika-chan and Satoko carefully focused on scribbling down notes. You know, I just thought of something. Doesn't this kind of go against the whole purpose of this club? Leaving someone, like in a sense to where, like, isn't intentionally leaving someone out here and continuing on without them kind of counterproductive to the whole club as a whole in regards to what it's supposed to be about? If that makes any sense. Because I remember some of you guys, as in the characters, not you, the audience, highlighting this point in the main story a couple times here. Like, if we leave anybody behind here, then it just wouldn't really be the same club, you know. Paraphrasing them, but it went something like that. Meanwhile, I pretended to take notes while revealing my hand to Reina under my desk. Satoko, Reina, pistol, knife, cemetery, storage shed. That means the possibility that any of the other cards is the answer was high. Reina quickly jabbed me with her elbow.
何を笑っているでございますか、ケイチさん。非常に気持ちが悪いのですよ。みー。
Whoops, this is no time to be laughing. I need to come up with a good excuse.
いや、このメンツで実際に犯罪やってることを想像したらさ。
意味はわかりませんが、なぜだか非常に不愉快でございますわ。
You could just be honest and say, I'm just looking forward to seeing you guys experience the penalty, in which case, while that'd still be true to your ultimate desire out of this, and it wouldn't really be suspicious of you to say that. Like, come on, Keiichi. Think a little bit.
さとこ、乗ってはいけないのです。おそらくケイイチのミスリードなのですよ。
Satoko and Rika-chan laughed together, with an oh-ho-ho and a nipa. Meanwhile, Reina was beside me wiping away her cold sweat.
それでは、現在2位の僕から行きますのです。では、レナ。
あ、俺持ってるぞ。
レナもあるよ。私も持ってましたよ。そうですか。では、投資なのですね。
That confirms the location, but the weapon is still unclear. Alright, I wonder if now is the time to go for it.
今度は俺だな。じゃあ、リカ、灰皿、ラウンジ。
私は持ってましたよ。僕もなのです。レ レナはないよ。
I see. That means it's not that one, right? Wait. Hold on. I looked through my notes, then BAM! It came to me.
よっしゃー、犯人確定。
もうでございますか？ケイチ、早すぎる男は嫌われるのです。
Now that was quite the innuendo. I thrust my index finger up towards the heavens, then shouted out the name of the killer, the weapon, and the location.
犯人はミオン、凶器は斧で、犯行現場は図書室。どうだ？
I pulled the answer cards out of the box to verify my solution.
ケイチくん正解。ふぬー、まさかミオンさんとは。斧なんかダメなのです。やっぱり毒物でじわりじわりがいいのです。
What's got you in a sadistic mood today? Seriously. Rika-chan, you have some interesting hobbies. You don't even know the half of it. Still, you got an awfully soft face while saying some hard things. Ran and I continued carrying out our plan, but Rika-chan and Satoko weren't stupid. We made good progress after a while, trading wins between us, but we had to start being more cautious. Then, finally, I was taken by surprise. I thought Satoko was taking notes, but she was actually holding a small handheld mirror under the desk. Ah, she's onto us! And I noticed Rika-chan's sharp gaze, staring straight at me through the mirror. I tried to hide our cheating, but it was already too late. Well, Keiichi, Reina, I asked you earlier, what are you gonna do if the other members manage to anticipate what you guys were up to? I'm waiting. What's your backup plan?
あら、そういうことでございますか、お二人とも。そうなれば、僕たちにも考えがあるのです。
Rika-chan and Satoko looked at each other and smiled. From that point on, it was a battle between Team Keiichi and Reina and Team Satoko and Rika-chan, duking it out in a coordinated attack. Then, nearly an hour later, while we were in the middle of our 13th game, Mion finally came back.
どうしたの、みーちゃん。
Reina must have noticed something for her to ask that. Now that she mentioned it, something does look odd about Mion. It's like she has no energy.
いや、なんでもないよ。
Mion responded as such, but her expression made it clear she wasn't feeling alright. But, the next moment...
なんじゃー！
Unsurprisingly, since Mion was out, the four of us managed to collect an enormous number of points in her absence. Mion must have realized the moment she saw the score sheet. No matter how hard she tries, it'll be impossible for her to turn her point deficit around.
とほほー。今日は代わりに買い物行ってもらう予定だったのに。
The moment Mion slumped down to her seat, a note hanging from her pocket fell out. So, I picked it up and took a look. What?
わあ、いっぱい書いてあるね。
豆腐2丁、シャンプーとリンス、みりんに油揚げ。なんだこれ？
It says gopher penalty.
これお前が頼まれたお使いだろう。
Well, I mean, hey, when you got a bunch of potential servants at your disposal, I'd utilize them. Mion let out a tehehe laugh.
お使いさせるためにこのゲームを始めたのか、お前は。
When I looked at Mion, I was relieved to see she was acting like her usual self. Still, I felt a little bad that she was given the penalty when she wasn't even here. However...
はい、みーちゃん。これ、レナのお買い物だからよろしくね。
Wait, all this time I spent worrying about this game, you were sitting there writing a shopping list.
くー、私たちもお買い物リスト作っておりましたのに。残念なのです、みー。
Even though it was such a close race, they had the time to make a list too? I felt cold sweat dripping down my back. You're all demons. And you decide to consort with these demons, boy. There started growing more horns besides the one between your legs. Leg. I say that as though you're missing a limb. Reina spun around in a swooshing motion and started walking toward her house. Come on, now you're just imitating me on. We had been walking at a swift pace for a while, and somewhere along the way, Reina started skipping.
変なもん踏んで転ぶなよ、レナ。
全然平気だよ。
Not the answer I was looking for. After club activities wrapped up, Reina and I walked home from school together. She seemed in especially high spirits today. This was the first time she ever claimed first place in a logic game. But even so, she looked as happy as a kid at a festival. And that smile on her face as she handed me on that shopping list. Like she was finally getting even for a long-standing grudge. And did so by saying, "Thanks!" with thunder crackling in the background. That's how it felt, anyway. I was still thinking those pointless thoughts as I reached my house. I put my hand on the doorknob and... Huh? It won't open. Forgot your house key? Oh, nobody's home. Dad and Mom left to do something for Dad's work. Ah, that thing again, huh? I pulled the key with the fur seal keychain out of my pocket, intending to unlock the door, and here I was thinking you forgot your key. Then I slid it in the keyhole, gave it a turn, and pushed the front door open. The house felt quiet and empty with nobody inside. It's like the moment people step out of a house, it starts to feel like an abandoned house. I slipped my shoes off, then made my way upstairs. I set my bag down inside my room and thought about what to do. While I was lying on the bed, my stomach started to growl. I need to get something before dinner time. So I made my way down the stairs and around to the kitchen, and started randomly opening the refrigerator and cabinet doors.
ない。ない。ない。
No matter where I looked, I couldn't find anything to eat. No, that's not good. Our mascot is gonna starve. My shoulders slumped, and I let out a deep sigh. You know, shouldn't parents leave something for their kids when they go out? I complained about that before, but Mom said something flippant like, "You can just buy anything from anywhere," and took that as an excuse not to make me anything. Well, you gotta grow up sometime, Sonny Jim. Yeah, that's right. But being left with nothing at all is still annoying. Well, get used to it, 'cause this is what grown-up life is gonna be like. You will have nothing unless you make something yourself. Such is the life of an adult. Humans are selfish creatures.
早く来ないかな、ミオン。
I spoke softly to myself. Why? Because she wouldn't just let me say something like that. Mion came in last, by far, in today's club activity. Naturally, Rena and I were tied for first place. Eventually, Rena gave me on her shopping list. Then she approached me, as though she were about to devour me.
こうなったら一人も二人も一緒だよ。さあ言え、すぐ言え、何買ってこいってか。
It was the first time in my life someone had threatened me to buy something. But it couldn't be helped, so I gave her my request. But that moment, Mion simply tilted her head.
これ？これだけでいいの？しかもこれ？
I heard it over and over. Yes, that's fine. Hurry up and buy it. I'm getting hungry. Just as I was about to shout that. DoorDash? DoorDash! When I heard the doorbell, I headed over to the entrance and opened the door to find Mion waiting there.
はい、これ。
ナイスタイミングだ。
Nice English.
ケイちゃん、さっき天に向かって「ミオン早く買ってこい!」って言ってたでしょ。
You have the most readable face that I've ever heard a fictional character possibly possessing, Keiichi. You might want to look into that.
なんでだ。
やっぱり
なんでわかったミオン。
だって声が聞こえたもんね。
She can hear my thoughts all the way outside the house?
本当か。
Mion cackled to herself as the panic that can't be true! The look started to show on my face. She got me.
それにしてもなんでこんなものをお使いに？しかもたった一個。
Her eyes fixated on the one thing I asked her to buy. Cup noodles. Specifically, the big name variety. Deca Cup. Tonkotsu pork and ginger flavor.
いいだろ別に。好物だし、俺の今日の夕飯だし。
これ夕飯だったの？
I know! It's very depressing, isn't it? Our mascot is a starving boy.
だっておふくろ、今日は留守だからさ。
He's gonna be skin and bones by next week. It makes me want to cry my heart out.
なあなあ。それなら何か作ってきてあげた方が良かったかな。
What would you have in mind?
ミオンが？お前、料理できるのか？
失礼な。おじさんを見くびっちゃいけない。料理は得意中の得意なんだからね。
Mion put her hands on her hips as she mouthed off at me. But I couldn't believe it. With that face and that getup? Can't be true. What's wrong with her face and getup?
何よその顔。
だって実際に見てないしな。
いつか見せてやる。その時はギャッフーンと言わせてやるからね。
ああ、楽しみにしてるぞ。
Then, Mion grabbed her bags as she delivered that answer with a smile. Both her hands were full of huge shopping bags. Wow, that's a massive load of stuff. I took a quick glance at the contents. 500 grams of pork, 2 packs of eggs, 5 servings of tofu, 4 milk cartons, 1.8 liters of soy sauce, and some carrots, long onions, pumpkin, regular onions, potatoes, beans, cabbage, shiitake mushrooms, king trumpet mushrooms, spinach, bean sprouts. Looking a bit more closely, I noticed a variety of spice bottles. Mion pulled Reina's shopping list out of her pocket and started reading out the names of the spices.
ね、色をつける組料でサフラン、パプリカ、ウコン、クチナシでしょ？
Dear God, is all this just for... No, it can't be just for Reina.
それから辛みをつける新味料で胡椒、唐辛子、わさび、からし。最後に香りをつける香味料でクローブ、ミント、タイム、ローズマリー、セージ、バジル、フェンネル、キャラウェイ、フェンネルシード、アニアス、オレガノ、クレソン、ケイバー、月桂樹の葉、コリアンダー。
Jesus Christ, you might as well just start your own kitchen at this point. What the hell do they need all this shit for? Each time she listed a name, I compared it to the label on the vial. And then, all the way on the bottom of the bag, I found an entire watermelon. How are you carrying all this shit?
だってレナ、今度本格料理に挑戦するんだって言ってたからね。
Even if she said that, aren't there limits to these things? Just what was she planning to make? Authentic curry or Italian cuisine? Even for authentic curry or Italian cuisine, this is overkill. Honestly, I think she's trying to start her own Italian restaurant. Seems more like harassment to me. Moreover, it wasn't just the one bag. Mion had another equally daunting shopping list filling another bag.
ミオン、お前これ全部持ってきたのか？
そうだよ。だって罰ゲームだしね。
I looked Mion in the eyes, and I could see the toll the weight was taking on her arms. She had a calm look on her face, but I could see the streaks of her muscles running down her neck and along both her arms, sapping her of all her strength. Keiichi, help the poor girl out.
そんじゃあケイちゃん、また明日。よっと。
Mion looked back, then started clumsily walking down the path. It felt like the earth was bending under the extreme weight.
待てミオン。
I suddenly started running over to her.
待てったら。
どうしたの？
俺どうせ暇だし一緒に持ってってやれよ。
Good boy! As soon as I said that, I grabbed one of the shopping bags and immediately started walking.
いいよ。あ、いいってば。ちょっと。
He insists. I figured she would shoot me down, so I had to start walking without asking permission. Eventually, I could hear Mion's footsteps approaching from behind. Then once she caught up to me, she walked beside me and smiled.
ありがとう。
Huh?
やっぱりちょっと重かったからね。
Well, with a list that long, I'm surprised that your arms hadn't snapped in two. Mion was being surprisingly amicable. Normally, she would have flat out refused. But there was clearly something different about Mion today. Well, Ushi just has that effect on people. It was like her usual tomboy demeanor had vanished or something. Our shadows moved side by side as we walked down the sunny road. The cries of the Higurashi echoed all around us.
どうしたミオン？
It was bugging me. So I decided to ask more directly.
何が？
いや元気がないみたいだから。
別に。
Mion simply muttered that. Then we returned to walking in silence. And then...
あのさ。
何？
I opened my mouth again to ask about the subject that had been bothering me all day.
部活の時間に呼び出されただろ。あれ誰が来たんだ？
ああ、ちょっとね。
ちょっと何？
Once she came back, she seemed completely drained. Reina noticed it too, and even asked Mion about it. It's been bothering me too, for a while now.
もしかして夕べのことか？
The moment I said that, Mion took a deep breath and stopped. She turned to look around, then looked straight at me. Yeah, I'd say it's definitely been about last night. It's those eyes again. Her eyes lit up just like that when she was asking Shion about our conversation on the night of Watagashi.
ゆうべって。ゆうべのことって何？
I flinched the moment her eyes started glaring at me. The intensity felt like it was strangling me. Fear can sometimes drive people to do completely illogical things when faced with an opponent whose power vastly surpasses their own. So I recklessly opened my mouth again and kept asking.
だから、祭りの後に何か起きたのかなって。ほら、たたりで人が変な死に方したり、急に行方不明になったりするって聞いたからさ。
Mion didn't say anything at all. Maybe she was feeling frustrated, deep in the bottom of her heart. It was a rather naive and childish question. However, Mion continued intently gazing at me.
誰から聞いた？誰から聞いた？
I struggled to answer her.
誰から？
Oh.
誰から？
Both of Mion's eyes were open incredibly wide. Bang. Mion released her grip on the shopping bag and it slammed down on the ground. The contents of the bag spilled out and scattered across the street. Those poor ingredients. For a moment, it felt like the world stopped moving. And then... a damp breeze blew a fishy aroma all around. You got your bearings about you again now? Are we cool? We're cool, right? Mion looked surprised when she finally noticed. Then she crouched down on the street and started collecting the scattered contents from the bag. I helped Mion gather the groceries she dropped. Meanwhile, Mion idly said that she was already certain of.
シオンだね。
I couldn't say anything to the contrary.
そっか。やっぱりあいつ余計なこと。
She spit out those words like a curse.
ミオ、別にシオンは。
But I couldn't figure out what else to say.
行かないで。
え?
All of a sudden, Mion said something. But it was too quiet for me to hear it. I turned to look straight toward Mion. And although she was still looking downward, I could see her mouth moving. What is it? Mion, what are you saying?
シオンにもう近づかないで。
The weight of those words crushed me. In a flash, the distance between our faces shrank, and Mion's sharp eyes were clearly visible. It felt like I was trapped by an ominous shroud of darkness. I couldn't move.
シオンにはもう近づいちゃダメだから。
I nodded to her, terrified. But I couldn't say anything. Suddenly, Mion's eyes turned back to normal. And the next moment, Mion was cackling out loud. You poor Keiichi, his mind is gotta be so confused and probably a little pissed scared right now. I mean, to be fair, if I was in his position, I certainly would be. I mean, this is giving me some pretty vivid flashbacks back to Chapter 1.
え
その格好
I finally noticed I had fallen back onto my butt and was sitting in the middle of the road. Undignified.
カエルみたいだよ
Ribbit. A frog?
ひっくり返って腹出したカエル
Now that's just sad. Mion was rolling with laughter. This was the normal Mion, right? Mion and I gathered all the groceries that spilled out, then resumed our walk toward Reina's house. After walking for a while, Mion began to speak in a quiet voice.
ケイちゃんは私の仲間だからね
Mion turned to me and smiled after saying that, then continued.
落ち着いたら全部話す約束するだからもうシオンに近づかないでね
あ
I couldn't say anything more. When she saw that, Mion looked downward, hiding her expression.
おいたが過ぎるねシオンもあんまり嗅ぎ回るようなら仕方ないね
Can't be helped? As she said that, it felt like Mion's shadow was creeping ever closer. The cry of the Higurashi echoed around me once again. Ushi must have really gotten to her head or something. That's right. I bought that new manga recently. I looked around my room, hoping to find where I left it. If Mom was around, she'd probably nag me saying, "You're reading manga again? Go study!" Manga is a Japanese tradition, harkening back to the work of Utamaro and Hiroshige. But even if I tried to explain that to her, she wouldn't listen. Manga is a part of Japanese culture. I'm confident that overseas markets will benefit from the introduction of Japanese manga. Well, I certainly don't disagree. I feel like the time for that isn't far off. I was absent-mindedly pondering those trivial thoughts. I just got home a little while ago. I was starting to feel sorry for Mion after the pamphlet she got stuck with, so I helped her carry half her bags. We walked through Hinamizawa side by side, carrying those huge shopping bags. We carried the bags to Reina's house, but she was out on an errand. I was hoping for a chance to show Reina the enormous bags Mion was carrying and say, "Please, ask for a little more." But it seems we missed our opportunity for that. After that, I walked Mion back to the Sonozaki house, then came home. However, on the way to Reina's house, I broached the subject of what happened after the festival. It was careless of me. In other words, I was asking Mion about the curse, a topic I knew she had no interest in discussing. Admittedly, I never stopped being interested in the story. Not since the night of the festival, when I spoke with Shion alongside the riverside, and she told me about the victims so far. But there's nothing admirable about asking someone about a topic they'd rather not discuss. But even so, I focused on the last thing Mion said. She She seemed especially upset that I heard about the curse from Shion. What on earth did she mean by that?
おいたが過ぎるね、シオンも。あんまり嗅ぎ回るようなら仕方ないね。
What prank was she referring to? What was Shion poking around in? When I looked at Mion's shadow, it felt like I could see the heat radiating out of her. But was that just my imagination? The cries of the Higurashi continued to ring aloud, and only compounded my insecurity. Suddenly, I noticed a bag from the bookstore laying on its side under my desk. Aha! That's the one I just bought. It's finally time for me to have some alone time, reading my favorite manga. I heard the phone ringing downstairs. I guess reading will just have to wait. I debated if I should just keep reading. I scratched the back of my head while thinking it over, then closed the book. I swear to God I heard that same exact page-flipping sound effect in Silent Hill games before. Same freaking sound effect.
もしもし。
もしもし、ケイちゃん？
Oh, hey, you feeling better?
私だよ、ミオン。
It was Mion, who I had only just parted with.
あれ、今何してたの？
You know, she asked. I didn't necessarily have to tell her.
漫画？
Huh?
出たばかりの新刊読んでたのかな？
How'd she know all of that? I immediately started looking all around me.
それでケイちゃん、今は慌ててキョロキョロしてると。
Is she watching me from somewhere? It was impossible. I felt irritated and embarrassed.
なんの用だよ。俺をからかって楽しいのか？
あ、怒った？ごめん、ふざけちゃったね。
I guess I was being a little blunt there.
あのさ、ちょっと今から会えるかな？
なんだ？さっき会ったばかりなのに。
さっきって
なんだよ。レナのうちの分とミオンのうちの分の買い物すごかったから片方持ってやったんじゃないか。
I didn't expect him to be so heavy.
あ、そうだったね。
なんだよ。俺にそんなに会いたいってか？
I tried to joke around with her. But for some reason, Mion didn't respond to the comeback like usual. She just remained silent.
あれ、ミオン、どうした？
なんでもない。
But she seemed unusually ill-tempered. Was she feeling okay?
で、なんだ？何か話してもあるのか？
ごめんね。電話じゃちょっと。
Was it something so important that she didn't feel comfortable discussing it over the phone? I thought about what kind of topics she wouldn't want to talk about over the phone. I could only think of one. I debated if it would be better not to say anything, but in the end I spoke up.
もしかしてタタリの話か？
She fell silent for a moment.
もしそうだとしたら。
Even if she said yes, what was I expecting?
話聞きたくない？
I'd be lying if I said I didn't want to hear it. But I thought Mion didn't want to talk about it. So why did she suddenly change her mind? Something happened to her? She probably just likely thought, okay, how I reacted to him while we were out and about was totally uncalled for, so I think I should, at the very least, try to explain some of this away here so he's not left horribly confused. You know? Basically, she's just trying to be considerate towards you.
もし嫌なら別にいいよ。無理にとは言わないし。
Hold on. I never said that I didn't want to talk about it. Still.
じゃあ沖宮の図書館まで来て。
To the library. I had no choice but to reply okay. I felt an invisible but overbearing power coming from the other end of the receiver. I flew off on my bike. And as I pedaled my bike, I kept thinking.
でも、なんでわざわざ沖宮の図書館なんだ？
Is it something we can't discuss around here? Are you planning to reveal some deep, deep secret? The more I thought about it, the more suspicious I started to feel. When I arrived at the library, Mion was waiting for me at the entrance.
ゆうちゃん。
I waited in response to Mion, then fixated on what she was wearing.
何？なんかついてる？
いや、何も。
She was dressed in her casual clothes. But aside from that, she didn't look any different. Then what caught your eye?
ミオン、夕飯の準備はもう終わったのか？
Mion looked puzzled for a moment.
どうして？
Since she did all that shopping earlier, I figured she'd make something substantial for dinner tonight.
ああ、終わって出てきたとこ。
Mion spoke lightly, like it was no big deal. Was it really possible for her to make dinner that fast?
うちのおふくろも料理上手だけど。
Even with expert level skill, that volume of raw materials would require an impossibly large amount of effort to prepare.
そんなことないって。材料は多いけど二人暮らしだからね。私とバッチャと。
Come to think of it, she did say something like that a while ago.
で、話って。
I looked straight at Mion.
うん。ケイちゃんが思ってる通り、お社様のたたりの話だよ。
A cold breeze suddenly blew past, and a cold light came pouring out of Mion's eyes. But an intense, beastly light hiding underneath, just like when we were walking home together. I continued staring at Mion. Why'd she suddenly decide to talk about it if she hated the subject so much? Not sure if Mion was frustrated by my lack of a response, but she furrowed her brow like she was in a bad mood.
嫌ならやめよ。
My attitude seemed to be upsetting her. Mion's expression was looking more and more fed up.
いや、あの話をするの嫌がってたはずなのに、何かあったのか？
別に聞きたくないならいいよ。
Mion's expression grew more grim, like I hurt her feelings. There's no reason not to hear it. I still had no idea what was going on with Mion, but frankly, I was glad she was willing to talk about it. And more than anything, I was deeply interested in learning more about these frightening events. We're doing a really poor job of avoiding talking about these events, I can't help but notice. False advertising.
待てよ、ミオン。
どうなの？聞くの？聞かないの？
Her eyes were cold, like she was looking down on me. I began to sulk the moment I saw those eyes. I've come this far. I can't turn back now, can I?
聞きたいに決まってるだろ。そのために来たんだから。
じゃ、中で話そうか。
Mion led the way as we entered the library. The lounge looked vacant, so we took a seat in the corner. Mion surveyed the area once again to make sure nobody else was around, then turned to me.
二度と同じこと言わない。だから、よく聞いて。
A chill ran through me. My blood froze over as she stared into me.
聞き返してもいけないってことか？
してほしくない。詮索もしないでほしい。
ちょっと待てよ、ミオ。詮索されたくないってどういう意味だよ？
ここで聞いたことを調べたり 他の誰かに確かめたり絶対にするなってこと。
I wanted to speak up, but I held back. After all, responding to questions seemed simple enough. But I got the feeling that there would be details to call attention to during the story. Surely some questions will arise during the hour or so she's going to spend telling me this story. At any rate, even if I'm not allowed to question people about it, there are probably written materials recorded somewhere that I could research. Plus, I get the feeling that I need to learn about this in order to properly become a part of this village. Thinking about it, human being are simple creatures. I think we're missing an S in the beings, with an innate interest in matters like this. What is still hidden? What on earth are they trying to hide?
わかった。約束する。ここで聞いた話を絶対に詮索しない。誰かに聞こうとしない。これでいいだろう。
Mion nodded in agreement. Come to think of it, that was the second time today I made a promise to Mion. I promised to stay away from Shion, and then I promised not to investigate this story any further. Was there some contradiction between the two? Or an inconsistency?
これからする話、お社様のたたりの話なんだよな。つまり、綿流しの後、何かが起きた。今年も何かが起きて、誰かが。
Mion carefully looked into my eyes and slowly began to speak.
あのね、富武さんが綿流しのお祭りの晩、どうやら死んだらしい。
Here we go again.
間違いなく死んだって。バッチャから聞いてさ。
My mind went blank. What? Huh? What happened to Toмотаки-san? I promised not to ask any questions, so I repeated it over and over inside my head. What happened to Toмотaки-san? What happened to Toмотaki-san? What happened to Toмотaki-san? That question repeated over and over inside my head, throbbing at the back of my ears. I could hear it bouncing back and forth, echoing and echoing. What happened to Toмотaki-san? Suddenly, Mion put a hand on my shoulder. Even though that caused my entire body to stiffen, Mion moved her face closer and continued.
ケイちゃん、どういう意味かわかるよね。
What was she getting at? I didn't understand. Why did he die? What killed him? Was there a reason for it? Mion said that he died on the day of Watanagashi. In other words, it's this year's curse of Oyashiro-sama. It happened again!
そう。あったの。富武さん、死んでしまったの。
No. That's crazy. That's unbelievable. You can't just say something like that so coldly, like it was nothing. Don't you remember our fun parting farewell? How can you remain calm while saying that? Even so, what was the meaning of this? What the hell happened? Indeed, my head was still shaking from all the questions swirling around inside. But Mion started giving me more details about the incident involving Toмотaki-san. He was first discovered by a police officer who had just finished up guard duty at the festival and was about to head home. It was late at night, around 5 minutes before midnight. The location was Around the point where the road to town turned into a paved road. It was near the end of the road, where it starts sloping downhill.
月明かり以外は車のライトしかない暗闇の中だったって。
I already knew that. There are hardly any streetlights in that area.
その車のライトの中にいきなり血まみれの死体が浮かび上がったの。
If that car hadn't driven by, it probably wouldn't have been discovered until morning. It must have been pure coincidence that they found Toмотaki-san. Just imagining it creeped me out. Toмотaki-san lying down in the road in a puddle of blood. With blood and filth spread all across the asphalt. The police initially suspected he was hit by a car. However, when they went to check if he was still alive, they immediately noticed something peculiar.
喉がね、ズタズタに引き裂かれていた。
With a knife? Even though I wanted to say that, my welling disgust kept me from speaking up. Even so, my thoughts were clearly conveyed. Mion had been averting her gaze, but she suddenly looked up at me. Her gaze? You mean his gaze? My gaze? No, my gaze. Oh, never mind. I'm the one that misread it this time. Ignore me. My brain farted.
自分の爪で。
Nails. What? The nails on his fingertips?
ガリガリ、ガリガリ、ガリガリ、ガリガリって。
Scraping. That awful sound echoed inside my head. Scrape, 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 scrape. In other words, Toмотaki-san wasn't murdered.
自殺?
The police had reached the same conclusion. The truth is a bit more complicated than that. I quietly thought it over. Shortly after parting with us, Toмотaki-san started scratching his throat with his own fingernails. He scratched it so hard it tore his throat apart. Even after he broke the skin and blood came pouring out, Toмотaki-san still wouldn't stop. Scraping and scraping.
爪がほとんど剥げていたそうだよ。
Peeled off. Scraping away with incredible force. And scraping even more. And then scraping away at his veins and arteries. Pop. Scrape. Spraying blood all around him. Blood pouring out of his mouth. Vomiting it out. And then he fell to the ground, having convulsions. Suffocating. Despite the particularly abnormal cause of death, there were no traces of any drugs in his body.
薬物中毒じゃないのか?
Mion calmly shook her head in response. But could he really have committed suicide? I never heard of anything like this. It's not normal. It's not a normal way to die. What is there even to say about death so mysterious? Among all the deaths in the past 5 years, this is the one that most resembles a curse. The surrounding area was unusual too. A piece of lumber was laying by the corpse's feet. Traces of Toмотaki-san's blood were found on the piece of wood, and the scar tissue in his hand matched the square shape of the lumber. There were signs that the surrounding trees and guardrail were struck with it. Toмотaki-san's bloodstains were scattered all around them. So, what does that mean?
富武さんはね、喉を爪でかきむしりながら、血を滴らせて血まみれになりながら、角材を片手で振り回していた。 ということ。
Was he trying to defend himself from someone? Mion silently nodded to me. On top of that, there were several scars spread across his body.
富武さんは何者かに暴行を受けたらしい。しかもたくさんの人間たちに寄ってたかって。
Tomotaki-san was surrounded by people and fought back. He tried running down the dimly lit road, but once it became clear that he couldn't escape, he fought back using that piece of lumber. All the while, Tomotaki-san was deliriously scratching at his throat, scraping and scraping. And then, he died. The silence felt like it would go on forever. Then, Mion suddenly lifted the heavy curtain of silence, with another inconceivable thing to say.
おかげで私たちまた疑われてるんだよ。
She said that quietly. Suspects? What? Who? What for? Why? After hearing that whole story about Tomotaki-san's horrific death, hearing that follow-up comment of no context had me doubting my ears.
今までの事件は全部園崎家が裏で糸を引いてるんじゃないかって警察にね。綿流しの夜の事件の被害者は全員園崎家にとって不都合な人たちばっかりだったから。
Come to think of it, all the incidents so far did benefit the Sonozaki family. Throughout Hinamizawa's history, all the victims so far have been people connected to the dam war.
毎年綿流しの日に旧敵がそれだけで十分に疑われる。
Thinking back on it, first, he was a dam construction manager. Next, the villagers who supported the dam. People who supported the dam construction project were dying mysteriously, one after another. The cause of death varied, but the victims were all supporters. In other words, they were all opponents of the Sonozaki family. There was no solid evidence, only rumors and circumstantial evidence to support it. But it certainly seemed difficult to just laugh it off. But hold on. What about the shrine priest and his wife who were next to die?
園崎家とは関係が薄い。
そう、薄い。薄いのに。
What? I suddenly noticed a hint of sadness in Mion's eyes, but I could see the cold light of malediction in there as well.
その家の主婦は撲殺されたの。
I already knew that story. Shion told me about the incident.
確かその家の子がその後に消えてしまったんだよな。
その子はね、去年まで私たちと同じ学校にいたんだ。
Went to the same school as us. Until last year.
名前は北条聡くん。同じクラスにいたんだ。聡子のお兄さんなの。
The air around me suddenly grew thin. My lips were quivering. I felt like a goldfish separated from the fishbowl, desperately struggling to breathe. Satoko's grief-stricken eyes flashed before me, then dissipated. Unbelievable. Satoko lost her brother to the curse. Even the people close to me are being caught up in this so-called curse. I began to tremble. My head was rapidly spinning. Hold on. Tomotaki-san has an even weaker connection. He's not related to the damn conflict at all. Isn't it strange for an outsider to be killed for no reason? Well, yeah. And given this context, you're absolutely right.
そういうこと。初めこそダム工事関係者に偏っていた。だけど時が経つにつれて犠牲者の関係した度合いは希薄になってきている。
つまりそれは
It doesn't matter if you're related to the dam project or not, as long as you're an enemy of the Sonozaki family? Well, that's certainly the conclusion Ushi's reached, that's for sure. It's possible that Satoshi was an enemy of the Sonozaki family, too. Maybe he learned one of the Sonozaki family's secrets, or something like that. And so, he had to be eliminated. Unfortunately, the truth is far more mundane and ultimately a lot more tragic than that. He was purely a victim of shitty circumstance, this boy. A chill ran down my spine. I hadn't been able to speak up for a while now. I could barely even bring myself to swallow the spit in the back of my throat. Even after I managed to swallow it, the sound of the gulp echoed inside my ears. False accusations, baseless suspicion, and outrageous theories. But wait, is that really a false accusation? Is it so baseless? I stared intently at Mion, but she immediately averted her gaze. Was Satoshi erased because he learned something he shouldn't know? Could Tomotaki-san's death have something to do with it too? And what about me? Am I starting to become a nuisance for the Sonozaki family?
なんでそんなことを俺に話したんだ。
そう簡単に話せない理由を知っていてほしかったんだ。でもこのことは部活のみんなには絶対に内緒だよ。
Why keep it a secret?
みんながたたりに過敏になっている。自分にその害が及ばないようにってね。
I responded with a vague nod. Indeed, it was pretty clear from the atmosphere that everyone wanted to avoid the topic. But
それに特に聡子の前ではこんな話したくない。
that seemed obvious. Nobody would want to talk about a curse that took their brother away from them. Still.
わかった？だからここで会って話をしたことも誰にも絶対に内緒だからね。もし約束を破ったらケイちゃんはきっと後悔する。
Mion's eyes radiated like a sword made of ice. A chill ran through me. There was nothing I could do to defend against her gaze.
わかった。ここで会ったことは秘密にする。絶対に約束する。
Just then, I heard the announcement that it was closing time. Well, that was awfully convenient timing. Mion and I made our way out of the library.
おじさんさ、これから親戚のところに行かないといけないんだ。
And after you do that, I implore you, go to bed early. You need to catch up on sleep. Please. After saying that, Mion and I waved to each other in front of the library, and started walking in opposite directions. The next moment, I heard a familiar voice calling out to me. Let me guess, Shion.
Keiichi-kun?
Never mind. Hello, Reina. I spun around in a flash. Reina was sitting on her bike. The basket on her bike was full of shopping bags.
どうしたの？こんなところで。
I wanted to go read. How about you?
あ、いや、たまには図書館もいいかなってさ。
へえ。
なんだよ、その顔は。
ここって涼しくていいところだもんね。
Indeed.
それにタダだしな。
そうだね。
Well, technically, I'm willing to assume that technically it's taxpayer funded, so technically it's not free.
じゃあまた明日な。
Although, since you're school kids, you're not exactly paying for the taxes, so for you guys, yes, it definitely is free. I wanted to get out of here as soon as possible. So I tried heading towards the bike rack, but Reina moved in front to block me.
どうしてそんなに慌ててるのかな
慌ててなんかないぞ。
ふーん、そうかな
暗くなってきたしさ、早く帰ろうかなって思っただけだ。
It already is dark.
じゃあ一緒に帰ろうよ。
She lightly tilted her head and looked me straight in the eyes. I could clearly see the suspicion in her eyes.
なんだよ。
Yeah, she is the most perceptive member of the whole group, so you may already be kind of fucked. She was just quietly looking at me, but somehow it made me feel uncomfortable.
図書館で何してたのかなって。
Reading Aesop's fables.
勉強だよ、勉強。
I quietly looked in the direction of the library as I said that. Mion was already long gone. My conversation with Mion was still nagging at me. What was she thinking, sharing such a serious secret with me? Mion seemed concerned that the police suspected her. That much was fine. I'll do whatever I can to help her. But even so, if you could get eliminated in the name of the curse for the crime of learning something better left unknown, something the Sonozaki family didn't want people knowing, then would I be the next one to be eliminated?
ねえ、ケイチ君。誰かと一緒にいなかったかな
Just Aesop in book form. Huh?
さっき、誰かと一緒にいたような気がしたんだけど。
一人だよ。
本当？
本当だよ。
Were you following me?
でも
なんだよ。
髪の長い女の子が隣にいたような気がしたから。
Nah, it was just a trick of the wind. She actually just has a bob cut. She saw that? In that case, my deceit was all for naught. So I started thinking.
あれは隣に座ってた人。
そうなんだ。
Reina carefully looked me up and down.
なんだよ。
だって座ってたのが隣でも一緒に出てくるのかなって。
Pure coincidence? I mean, it is closing time.
たまたま一緒に出てきたんだよ。
嘘。
Here we go.
ケイチ君、あの女の子と絶対前から知り合いだったはずだよ。
なんでそんなことわかるんだよ。
だってケイチ君の動き、とても自然だったもん。
俺はいつでも自然だぞ。
でもだったらおかしいね。
俺のどこがおかしいって言うんだ。
知らない人と会ってるのに、どうしてあんなに自然なのかな。
I was shocked.
だってケイチ君、自意識過剰なところがあるから。知らない人といると、動きがギクシャクするんだよ。
Indeed. I do have some trouble talking to people I haven't met before.
それに、
Also?
ケイチ君、嘘つくと鼻がピクピクするもん。
Well, how about that? Turns out Keiichi is actually Pinocchio. What? I held my hand to my nose. Do I really do that? Or this could actually just be a bluff that she's playing here just to get you to touch your nose and thus out yourself. Not that she really needs to at this point, but still. Then, Reina suddenly started giggling.
引っかかり
Would you people stop scaring him like this? Jesus Christ. You're unnerving me a bit, even though I know you all better by now. Stop it! She got me.
知らない人じゃなかったんでしょ？
I could hardly make a sound in response. So as a last resort,
実はさ、彼女も同い年で話が合っちゃってさ、最近友達になったんだ。
I took my lie even further.
沖宮の子？
I nodded in response to Reina's question.
そうらしい。
どこの学校だって？
Huh? I don't know the middle schools in Okinomiya. Aren't you in high school? I desperately thought it over and over to find something to say.
いや、聞いてないな。
どこの学校も聞かずに？おかしいな。
Reina unnaturally tilted her head to the side. Then she looked at me with a big grin.
嘘だよ、やっぱり。
Well, you're not wrong. I realized that Reina had me completely ensnared in her trap. Yeah, I guess I spoke too soon about this, about the whole bait and switch thing with Reina, didn't I? But I still couldn't tell her I was with Neon.
わかった？だから、ここで会って話をしたことも、誰にも絶対に内緒だからね。もし、約束を破ったら、ケイちゃんは、きっと後悔する。
You know, Keiichi, you could just simply say, okay, yes, I was here with Neon. We decided to talk about something, but I can't tell you. I can't really tell you the details because I just can't. You'll have to trust me on this. You could just leave it at that. And boom. My promise to Neon was still echoing in the back of my head. My face must look painfully distorted. I was desperately thinking how to get out of here. Then, Reina suddenly burst out laughing.
ケイイチくん、冗談だよ。
What did I just say? Bang! She gave me a good hard pat on the shoulder. What?
ひょっとして、一目惚れ？
いや、
わかった。これ以上は聞かないでおくね。
What was she implying?
でも意外だな、ケイイチくん。
Unexpected? What is so unexpected?
大丈夫だよ。レナ、誰にも言わないから。
Well, that works out in our favor, so hey. Reina let out one more laugh as she straddled her bike and smiled while driving off.
おい、レナ、ちょっと待てって。
I rushed over to my bike. Then we paddled our bikes toward Hinamizawa together. Reina continued laughing, making fun of me along the way. At any rate, I somehow managed to succeed in keeping my secret. But no matter how loud Reina was talking and laughing, I could still hear the word curse ringing inside my head. The entire time I spent riding my bike home, I was filled with regret. I wish Neon had never told me that story. Still going, huh? Yeah. Normally I would keep going for a bit longer here just to see how things play out, but I think I'm going to go ahead and cut things off here. I mean, if I'm being honest, this feels like a good place as any to stop. So, I guess we'll see what's going to be in store for us tomorrow, here in our good old favorite classroom in the next episode. 2 episodes in, and well, we've kind of found out more or less everything that we tried so desperately to avoid. Which, if I'm being honest, wasn't really all that desperate at all. We barely put up a fight, honestly. Complete, utter failure. Poor Keiichi. He really can't just keep his nose where it belongs. Poor Keiichi. Anywho, I hope you guys enjoyed this latest episode of the Higurashi When They Cry console arcs. If you did and you want to see more content from me, feel free to subscribe to my channel. I will see you all next time. Take care.